Et salut tout le monde et bienvenue dans la suite de Call of Juarez. C'était ici, on était donc à la poursuite des Dalton. I'm very sorry.
Not yet, but I did find a few of their cousins. You Kansans breed like rabbits. More Smiths or Heimhoffers or who knows what. Hell, what's more important than family? I bet Ben knows what I'm talking about.
Voilà. Il ne peut plus en rester que... Il ne peut en rester qu'une. Contre-attaque avec instinct de survie. Carabine argentée. On augmentera la dernière.
Come out and I will. What are you gonna do? Keep shooting. I don't mind. He has it coming. You can't get me. Oh, now what?
A lot of those paths seem to be leading nowhere. I knew those Dalton boys were out there somewhere. standing together against anyone who would threaten them.
Parfois, je n'ai pas autant de mecs, hein. Aïe.
That's when I saw it. A goddamn steamboat.
A steamboat in a swamp?
Yeah, Steve, but this wasn't much more than a wreck, really.
But how'd a damn steamboat end up in the swamps? Guess it floated off during the flood of '89.
Now, was it a stern wheeler or a side wheeler?
What? Does that really make a difference, Steve? It was a steamboat with a goddamn army on board. It was then that a fusillade of bullets come raining down from our house, and those vigilantes who accompanied me weren't anywhere to be found. But among those men that were shooting at me...
Je sais pas d'où je suis mort en fait là. Entre le jeu qui me dérange.
But among those men that were shooting at me, I thought I saw some familiar faces. Somewhere up there, the Daltons were waiting on me.
Sounds like you don't give up too easy.
That's the kind of man I am, Ben. I set out to do something. I do it. Surrender just ain't in my nature. Plus, I'm stubborn as hell.
Oui, il y a des trucs qui volent, oui.
Yeah, you know you can't beat me. Brother, I'm gonna make you pay for that.
Right about then, much to my relief, the vigilantes finally
En
arrived.
passant
Their
devant.
leader motioned at a cabin in the middle of the top deck, pointing me directly at the Daltons. I finally had them, after months of dogged pursuit. But it turned out that they had me.
Bah oui, ça partait d'une évidence. Le mec est vers là. Et comment vous avez fait pour passer devant sans que j'ai besoin de sans tuer qui que ce soit?
Apparently the vigilantes were on their damn payroll. They didn't just want to shoot me. They wanted to burn me alive. But finding my way out of a burning labyrinth proved to be quite a challenge.
It was a riverboat, right? I mean, it's not like it was a goddamn ocean liner.
Oh yeah, but I was in a
Did you
fight.
hear about that ship that's gonna launch next year? Launch just one year.
We're talking about the Titanic. If you ask me, it's too blessed big. I don't think it'll even float.
So anyway,
Don't be stupid, Steve. They know what they're doing. They say that the Titanic is unsinkable.
oh God.
But getting back to that steamboat, how'd you get off it, Mr. Breeze?
I took in a lot of smoke that day, so I admit my recollection might be a bit hazy. But somehow I managed to finally disembark. It was time to settle this once and for all. Weren't about to come at me one at a time. They were in this together. Two brothers side by side, determined to take me down. Confident that this time the odds were on their side.
Ah oui c'est vrai, faut que j'esquive les balles, oh là là. C'est chiant parce qu'on doit faire deux choses à la fois.
They got it wrong. A sad end for those two. If they'd only known that Emmett was still alive despite his wounds. Paroled 14 years later, he moved to California and sold real estate and lived off the legend of that fateful day. And the tragic death of his two brothers.
Vas-y, je compte plus rien.
My own brothers died tragically as well, truth be told. It was 1868, and me and my older brothers were pulling a tidy profit running cattle into Juarez, Mexico. One night after my brothers retired for the evening, I found a little poker game in a cantina with a couple of cowboys. And I just couldn't lose. I even won an old Spanish coin that had to be 100 years old. Well, I was mighty pleased with myself the next morning as my brothers and I rode for Texas. But before we crossed the border, those cowboys caught up with us. It was Johnny Ringo, Roscoe Bob Bryant, and another asshole named Jim. They wanted their money back and everything else we had, including our lives, as those boys didn't want us coming for them later. Bob put that old Spanish coin in my mouth and said, "I won't have it said that I left you with nothing, boy." Well, those horses bolted, and there we hung as those bastards rode away. The branch finally snapped under the weight of the three of us, but being my older brothers were bigger and heavier, they were already dead. And right then I swore to myself that I would avenge them. Ringo you know about. But Bob eluded me, until I heard he was riding with the Wild Bunch.
Mené par Butch Cassidy et Susan Skid, le Wild Bunch, la horde sauvage, était le dernier des grands... Est-ce qu'on a après que j'ai fini là? Non, quand même pas.
I'd been on their trail for months, ever since they left their hideout in the Bighorn Mountains.
Ah ouais, c'est pas si c'est bon.
Led by Butch Cassidy. They were a loose association of outlaws who robbed banks and trains from Colorado to Montana. Among them was the Sundance Kid, and that murderous hombre I was tracking, Roscoe Bob Bryant.
Were you a part of that giant Pinkerton posse after the Wild Bunch?
No, boy. A circus like that would have slowed me down. Besides, I wanted Bryant all to myself. I'd heard about a large shipment of gold being transported to Wilcox, Wyoming on the Overland Flyer. I figured the Wild Bunch would likely hit such a treasure, and by God, I figured right. They blew the bridge with the intention of forcing the train to stop. Well, I assumed the Wild Bunch was likely in the still intact part of the train high above. I was determined to make that sumbitch Bob pay for what he did to my brothers.
Tombé tout seul.
I found the device they used to blow the tracks, so I knew I was headed in the right direction.
Imagine, boum. Ah merde.
My ears are still ringing from blowing up that bridge. What'd you say?
Well, I made my way off unscathed and came upon a few members of the gang and had no choice but to dispatch them. From there, I had to negotiate an even more precarious route. But first, I would need to get my ass out of there.
Et ici? Attendez. Là-bas, y'a quoi? Ouais, y'a rien.
Jumped from the frying pan into the fire as the train was clearly fixing to fall. I had found the gang, but in order to find old Bob, I needed to fight my way forward past a whole passel of desperados. Outside, inside, any way I could, I made my way towards my prey.
Goddamn claw dog!
Well, what about the passengers?
It was mostly a freight train, as I recall. There were no passengers aboard that day.
You won't get away with this! I will kill you!
As I mentioned before, I am not fond of heights. But I was too busy dodging bullets to worry about falling to my death. Odds were I was likely to die that day anyway. So I was determined to take down as many of those bastards as I could.
You better hide! You ain't beat
Ça marche pas. Non plus. Oh!
Times it was like shooting ducks in a shooting gallery. The only difference is these damn ducks shot back.
Salut.
I kept hoping the law would show up and give me a
You
hand.
mean like that giant Pinkerton posse that I read about? Did they come riding in, guns a-blazing to help?
Help? From the
Du coup,
Pinkertons?
ça,
No, son. I had to fight the wild bunch all by my lonesome, as usual.
c'est la fin de la vidéo. J'espère qu'il vous a plu. N'hésitez pas à vous abonner à la chaîne pour plus de contenu. Mettez un pouce bleu aussi, c'est super important. Partagez la vidéo sur tous les réseaux sociaux. Et on se retrouve tout de suite sur la suite de Call of Juarez. Allez.